Hello, we are sixth-year students from Scoil Dara, and for Comparative Study we studied the text The Ferryman, Shawshank Redemption and Rebecca by Daphne Du Maurier.
Okay, so give me a little bit of synopsis we'll start with The Ferryman maybe?
The Ferryman is a play based on the Troubles in Northern Ireland. It centres around a family in County Armagh, and it incorporates elements of traditional sort of Irish family gathering, but also the conflict that's overshadowing it all. There's the element of the IRA. There's that underlying tension, but equally you've what's on the surface is a close-knit Irish family celebrating the harvest with the relatives from Derry. Some teachers might not like it because it has some interesting language in it, but it very much reflects what one would consider to be an Irish family dynamic, and it was a very enjoyable read. So.
Okay, great. What about the Shawshank Redemption then?
Shawshank is about a guy who is convicted he's convicted to life in prison for murdering his wife, and it's set between the era of the 1940s to the 1960s, and it's all about the friendship that he builds with another character, Red, in the movie, and how he interacts with all the other characters and how he tries to make life better for himself within the prison.
Okay, and what about Rebecca?
Rebecca is a woman who is a newlywed, and she's basically practically thrown into elite society, like aristocrats, and she's basically struggling with the husband's previous wife, and it's kind of like a thriller, and it was very revolutionary for the time that it was set, because it was main character was a woman, and there was no stereotypes, if that makes sense, with the man being the hero.
Any more about Rebecca?
The narrator also remains anonymous throughout the thing. We never actually find out the name, which really creates like a very mysterious kind of atmosphere about it, and it's very sensuous and lyrical. It's very much a slow burn.
Good. Okay, so what did students like about, we'll go back to The Ferryman, do you think, Ben?
People like that as joyous at parts. There's scenes where they spontaneously dance, and because it is a musical, it's set to stage, so people I think enjoyed that. Again, people enjoyed the vernacular, the Irish vernacular. They found that amusing. The various things that probably unrepeatable in this context. But then some people also found the cultural context interesting. It's one of our comparatives, and many people enjoyed doing that. You have the history involved. You references to Irish mythology as well. So many people appreciated that.
Good.
And
yeah.
all in all, it was a fun read.
Fun read, yeah, good. What about Shawshank? What do people like about it, Lucy, do you think?
I think they enjoyed the friendship and the connections that were built. People were able to relate to it in their own lives, kind of in school, because a lot of students would view school as a prison in itself, I think, and you build connections with the other students, and you build connections with some teachers as well, and it makes things more bearable in the time that you're here.
Great, okay, and what about Rebecca? What do people like about it?
Well, as a woman, our class is the majority of the class are women. I think it's really refreshing in a very male-dominated Leaving Cert course to have a woman and a book about a woman, and it was very revolutionary for the era that it was written in, and especially I think with the male-dominated Leaving Cert course itself. We just come off Shakespeare, so it was just very refreshing to have a talk about women, and the role of women in the book was completely opposite to other aspects of Leaving Cert.
Great. Veronica, what do you think?
For positives.
What people liked about it?
What people liked about it. I think a lot of people also like the setting of Manderley. It really creates a really strong, vivid image that a lot of us we feel that Manderley really comes to life, and a lot of us feel like we would like to visit it, which is
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think then people may not have liked about, let's go back to The Ferryman, or what teachers might need to take on board? Ben, you mentioned the language.
Well, as popular as it is with students, I'm sure some teachers might not admire the often somewhat coarse language. Again, for most students, in our class found it light-hearted and enjoyable. There's a breath of fresh air, like Jennifer said, we're doing Shakespeare, and that's all, down this, down that. So I think people found it slightly more relatable, perhaps. But I know it can be quite violent. I'm not going to spoil it, of course, but there are some scenes where there's graphic violence and death, so that might be triggering for some people, perhaps.
Great, yeah, good, thanks Ben. And what about Shawshank?
It's quite similar in the sense there's the odd bit of coarse language. It's not as filled with it as The Ferryman is. There's also a lot of violence. We are set in a prison, an American prison in the 1940s. There's gangs, there's cliques, there's a lot of abuse.
There's also rape, so you have to be
yeah. There's a lot of sexual violence as well in the beginning, and but that's not the main focus on the movie, and I think some people need to see past that sometimes and say you got to look at the friendships as well. But there is a lot of violence to watch out for.
Okay, what about Rebecca?
I think the one piece of advice I'll give to any student studying Rebecca is patience.
Yeah.
It is a slow burner, but it is well worth it, and it can be very, very dense and complex, the language, and you do need to go slowly and really, really take it in. And I know, like, when you open, the first chapter is so daunting going in, but it just becomes so it's just so complex, but in a good way. I feel like you genuinely are in manually. I can picture the house. I've never seen the film. But I know the house to look at, and I know the area, and I know the characters and everything, the setting. Just be warned that it's quite a.
What do you think, Veronica?
I definitely agree with Jennifer that it's very much a slow burner. She definitely spends a lot of long passages describing manually and describing the flowers and everything. But it's definitely like very rewarding if you stick throughout the beginning and get into like the climax.
Yeah. And do you think that the three texts worked well as a combination? Yeah.
They're very different, but you can definitely find like comparisons between them and like similarities and differences.
And I also think giving such like different texts gave like the students the opportunity to look for them. I think before going in, not knowing any connections, it really gave everyone a chance to actually think, and I felt like I could interact with the text a lot better, knowing that there was no connections before we went in.
And there was a bit for everyone, but there was a text that everyone could like enjoy.
Yeah.
Something for everyone.
Yeah. Massive variety of different themes and roles for everyone.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys.